Hello. Guessing this music's a bit too loud. Let's turn that down a bit. How is everyone doing on this lovely Saturday? I'm freezing. Anyone on TikTok? Once again, I can't look at what's going on. I can see your chat, but I don't know who's watching, who's there. So hello, anyone that is there. I'm just going to get on with the selling. Hello. I would have been on earlier, but for some reason my capture card. So I've got an old Elgato HD 60s, and it this light is so bright. Bring it down a little bit. I don't even need it. There's a bit of daylight in here. That's fine with a little bit of daylight coming in. Yeah, my capture card, which worked fine yesterday once I realized I wasn't using a USB-C 3.0 on my PC, which, I mean, I was, or it was labeled as such on my tower, but anyway, obviously this worked fine yesterday. Today would not work at all. I don't know why. It kind of connects for a second, connects with other things, like I've got my Switch running through it at the minute, and that's fine. Anyway, I thought of a solution, because I have an old Apple TV from like 9 years ago, and I can just stream to that. So it's fine. It's not a problem. We've got it. In fact, it's so much quicker and easier just to use my Apple TV like this. I don't have an actual use for it, because basically I got this Apple TV for free. Yeah, probably like 9 years ago. Actually, maybe 11 years ago. And it was like a developer kit one, because I was making some apps, so they just gave me one, and I've had no real use for it for ages, so it's good to get it out. Okay. I'm kind of enjoying the general composition. It's one thing which I think is maybe going to make people feel like it doesn't look right, is the fact that most models, I feel like most miniatures are kind of designed to be moving forwards. Whether that's like a standing pose or walking pose, running, or something kind of more dynamic, you generally see a miniature moving forwards. Whereas this guy's kicking backwards. And I think naturally your brain doesn't want to assume it's doing that. So I need to try and capture that. I think the tail sweeping under is a big part of that, because if it was moving forwards, like jumping into a kick, the tail would be behind it. I also don't want the wings to be, because the wings would like flap as well as it kicked backwards, but I don't want the wings to be down. I'd rather have them up. So it's almost like at the start, like he's just kicked backwards and the wings have just gone up, ready to immediately, like this is just before the wings would flap down. That's what I'm trying to capture. Anyway. You want to sculpt something for the cherry as well? Well, I don't know how this came to me. I sat down for a couple of days and couldn't think of anything. But you can't force it. You just have to let it happen. So I'm sure something will come to you. But yeah, I think the whole general composition's okay. These like feathers are just kind of like a guide. Pheasant feathers are kind of like long and they're not very stiff. It seemed like they're a bit kind of floppy at the end, which is why I'm kind of justifying this. They're probably not all going to be the same length. I've also kind of got the philosophy with my design of this. I'm kind of approaching it as if it's like going to be cast, even though it's not. You know, for example, like these, this foot connecting with these feathers, for example. Yeah, it's a deliberate choice. Thinking about the angles of things. I'm trying to get into that mindset because I do want to make stuff to cast. So I'm just trying to, you know, make a habit of thinking like that. Your model, it kind of gives me, well, I guess there's like medieval kind of vibes to it. But also, for some reason, I started thinking of Pinwheel from Dark Souls. But not like, I know it doesn't look like Pinwheel, but you know, it's a combination of like, I don't know, it looks nothing like Pinwheel, actually. It just made me think of it. It's almost like it would be one of Pinwheel's little minions or something. I don't know. Made me want to play Dark Souls. But I also need to finish Elden Ring. Yeah, all the different weird medieval creatures and critters are pretty cool. I've seen quite a few sculptors that kind of specialise in that kind of thing. I guess you could do like a series of models that kind of similar type. Is that what you normally make? Forgive me, I've not seen your other things. Alright, let's look at this stupid face. I mean, this thing is kind of a vampire. I don't know if I want to go with that though. If I want to kind of keep it cutesy. Kind of got like a more cutesy structure right now. Yeah, Andrew May's stuff's pretty cool. Actually, I subbed to his Patreon the other day, actually. Which is how I found out about, oh, hang on. This is not mirroring locally. Let's do that again. That's how I found out about a particular brand of matte acrylic medium. So I bought that, hoping it just works, because I looked at some of his photos and I was like, oh well, it's working for him. And he was just mixing it with washes. I think it was Agrax Earthshade. Mixed it with this medium, and it looks great. None of the shininess, and I cannot stand washes and the shininess they leave. And every time I risk it and use it, I regret it immediately. If I was making an army, it'd be different. But anyway, so I'm hoping that'll get me back into washes. Although I kind of like painting the values myself. You know, I like having that control, I suppose. But the finish is the biggest factor. Yeah, I don't really dry brush either. Like, what was the last thing I dry brushed? The first model I sculpted, I dry brushed some parts of that. Oh no, that's a lie. The Hooble Goobles, I did do a little bit of a dry brush. That was just like a highlight dry brush of the fur. Yeah, it was just on the fur I did it, just to catch the edges. But I didn't. If you look at the Christmas one I didn't dry brush the fur on that one. That was all. I just went in and highlighted each individual little triangle of fur. I just kind of prefer the look of it. But if I was doing like a horde army, I absolutely would use time-saving techniques, which is what I've got a load of goblins. So when I eventually get around to doing those, I will be kind of speed painting them. Okay. Let's get a look at a few different rabbit faces. Let's see what resonates. Well, that's fair enough. And also, to be fair, I don't do loads of painting. At the minute, I'm only painting my own things. So, I kind of justify spending more time on them. I'm trying to be better though, trying to be more efficient. Okay. Just checking out different bunny faces. Do I want it with its mouth slightly open? It's kind of got some, if I do this, kind of starts to get some Sonic vibes. Just turn it into one big eye. No, let's not do that. Well, these eyes are kind of a bit too far forward. But yeah, slightly better. think having this dip here makes it a bit more cutesy. If I bring it up a bit. It's still cutesy. That might be better though. I don't know if you've got this impression from my stuff yet, but I like big noses. Kind of like exaggerated noses generally. Although I'm not sure exaggerated bunny nose would look very good. And when I eventually get around to doing people, ignore Garuda. Garuda was a bit of an anomaly. I kind of just did it as if I was doing a semi-realistic female face. And afterwards I was like, this isn't the style I wanted to make for humans. But I thought because she's like a big model and she's almost like a deity, I thought making her look very clean was the best thing for it. But when I do like 28mm humans, I probably will kind of add the cartoony element, I think, because that's what I've done with the rest of the models. I think that's why I've kind of left humans so far, partly because they're less interesting, but also in my head I can't quite picture how my style from creatures translates onto humans. I will do it eventually though. Shaimin Skyform. Shaimin? That's the hedgehog one, isn't it? I didn't know it had another form. I've only seen one form of it. I do like Pokemon. I'm a big Pokemon person. I just don't make any time for it. I have no time. I have almost every game, and just before the e-store went offline, I bought a second 2DS, all the virtual games, loads of the physical games that needed updating, just because I didn't like the idea of lost media, and so I hoarded a load of Pokemon games, which I've not played because I have no time. I've not finished the new ones. I played a bit of all of them. I just don't have the time. Yeah, the question is, do I have it with its mouth? Open or not? Let's just try and imagine this with its mouth open. I mean, it's not going to open its mouth that much. Alright, let's look at the skull. see where these sharp teeth would be. The rabbit skull, according to the rabbit skull, it's got the incisors, I guess they're incisors, that you'd expect, the big bunny teeth at the front and the bottom. And then all the rest of the teeth are quite far back into the skull. So I feel like, in theory, if this had sharp vampire-like teeth, they're going to replace those front two. So they would be like right next to each other in the middle. I guess they're a bit angled forwards. The bunny ones are slightly angled forwards. I mean, bunny mouths don't open very wide anyway, so I probably don't need to think about this too much. Let's just temporarily just put this same cone there. So all the pictures of this I've seen have the teeth kind of like here, but it always looks weird to me because it's like the skull's not like that. I mean, it's a made-up animal, who cares, I guess. But I think common sense says these teeth would replace the only two teeth at the front and just be like that. I don't know, is that how I've not seen Nosferatu, or is that like a Nosferatu kind of vampiric teeth kind of location, like the front two? Yeah, I mean the skull, if you look at Google skull, the teeth literally wouldn't be like here on me, like the equivalent, like where my canines are or whatever, because they don't exist. The skull is really narrow. They would only be there. I think that makes sense. I feel like I'm not really going to have the mouth open too wide. Something like that anyway. Eyes are more on the side of the head. feel like well, you know, I'm not going for realism. I do like my very pronounced brow. Does look a bit angry. I don't know if like angry is the necessarily the vibe I want to go for. Maybe. Maybe it should be angry. Sometimes with eyes, I use the oh, hello Trent. How's it going? Thanks for dropping by. I appreciate it. Sometimes I'll go with like a standard like sphere for eyes, and sometimes you don't want to do that. You just want it to be a bit more organic. Just been debating the anatomy of the Wolpertinger. I kind of don't like things to look too angry, but I mean, I feel like he's in the middle of a fight, right? I looked at rabbits fighting, and they kind of like jump up and kick, and naturally kind of fly backwards a bit. So that's the vibe I'm going for. Cheers. Well, it's a little vampiric bunny rabbit. You don't want to meet it in the woods. Tough's not really my vibe though. But I'm trying to like step outside of my comfort zone a little bit. I want to do some Trench Crusade stuff. But I want to try and get a Buddhist action in, which, you know, kind of fits in with the theme, but all my stuff is pretty whimsical and fantasy based, so that'll be a challenge. Oh, hey Dexter. The pose is giving you Mew vibes. I guess so. Yeah, Dexter, I can't see what's going on TikTok really. I get the chat on OBS, but I can't like monitor it. So I don't know what's happening over there. Obviously this is early stages, just kind of figuring out the general vibe. That'll flow into the ears, I think. I like rabbits with like big fluffy cheeks, so that's what I'm going for. Generally at the minute I quite like designing things that are a bit more chunky. Maybe that's too much fluff. To be honest, I'm not surprised that I feel like the Phantom Colossi are definitely more your vibe out of all the things I've done. I will do some more of that kind of thing eventually. Your style and TC are on the opposite side of the spectrum. Oh, Trench Crusade. Yeah, I'm definitely going to do it. And I think I will kind of stick more towards the Trench Crusade aesthetic than just try and do like just like the Mandragora thing I did, which was kind of like a turnip 28, but in my kind of sillier style. It doesn't quite work. But yeah, I still like making them. But for the Trench Crusade Buddhist faction, I think I would just try and match that that style. Oh, thank you. The Garuda is I still not painted it. There's my Garuda. It's primed, ready to paint. I haven't got around to it. Just because I had some 3D printer issues for Christmas, so I got delayed. But I'm going to go back to it at some point. But yeah, I will do more the Phantom Colossi stuff. I'm going to do more of that. There's like I've got like a spooky chariot in mind. The origin of those is pretty weird actually. I watched the when Linkin Park brought out their new song in September. There's a bit where Mike Shinoda is painting, and he's painting this this spooky creature with like 3 eyes, and I thought, oh, I want to create a mini based on that. So I started doing it, and it just kind of like turned into something else because I got Attack on Titan in my head. So I turned them into like giants instead, and then became whole other thing. But it started with Linkin Park. Oh well, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I'm just trying to make things that I feel like making, really. You know, not trying to like, well, that's what I've always done. Just like made things I want to make. There's so many like really talented people making stuff as well that I think you just kind of need to do your own thing and just do what you enjoy doing. And the same goes for you as well. Like I love all the stuff you do because it's just like you know, it's obviously very personal to you, and you're just, you know, you obviously love doing it, and you know, that's the only reason really we need for creating things, is because you enjoy doing it. Dexter, the video freezes every couple of seconds, but yeah, it's because I'm streaming to TikTok as well as YouTube and Twitch, which I shouldn't do. I'm just doing it because I don't need a lot of frames at the minute. I might just abandon TikTok, to be honest. Okay. But I do want to work on. I'm trying at the minute. I'm rethinking what I'm doing. Because I want to do something that's a bit more sustainable, and gives me the freedom to do other things. One of my friends, who, well, you'll know, Annie, Bad Squiddo, she was like convincing me to do a Kickstarter. So I'm thinking of doing a Kickstarter, even though it's kind of scary. But that's yeah, well, you got to do things that scare you. But I'm going to try doing some traditional sculpting. So I've kind of bought some different clays to mess around with, and I've got like a folklore theme I'm going for, and I'll see how things go. But yeah, I'm going to do a Kickstarter for those, I think, and I just want to do some traditional sculpting anyway. Yeah, man. Yeah, it'd be really cool to like collaborate and make something. I'm really this year I'm trying to be a lot less introverted and put myself out there, and I've been talking to Annie a lot about that, and I want to go to events and stuff this year, and just try a bit, be less introverted, because I'm not really getting out there much at the minute. Yeah, Annie's great. Yeah, well, the thing is, now she's convinced me. I hope she realizes, because she does them all the time, I hope she realizes I'm going to be annoying her quite a lot to get, to ask questions on how things work. And the main thing I'm avoiding at the minute is the whole shipping like drama, because I've already done a bit of research like last year when it came to like just sending physical things out into the EU, and just all the like registering for like packing in each country, sometimes twice, like in Germany, all that stuff on top of like the VAT related stuff. And now there's even more stuff to think about. I'm just like, oh my god, I got to deal with all that. But yeah, I'm definitely going to annoy Annie about it. I mean, it's not the tax related stuff seems to be like the easiest part of it now, in a way. It's just all the other extra red tape. It's kind of, limiting creativity. It's annoying. Why is there no symmetry on that? Oh, because I've messed up the center point. Oh well, that's fine. Sometimes I just sculpt things from memory or like my perception of what something's like and then worry about it later. So I'm gonna like do some of the ears now, then go look at what the ears actually look like. Yeah. Well, yeah, I appreciate the push. I'm definitely going to do it. It's just, yeah. At the minute, what I'm worrying about. Well, I'll worry about all that later. Right now, I want to just make the minis. And once I've made them, then I'll be like, right, well, I've made them. I may as well do the admin now. So I will do it. And I figured there would be like places I could go to like help me deal with all that red tape. And yeah, I will definitely annoy Annie. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it. At the minute, I've kind of just been making what I feel like making without there being too much structure. I do want to kind of structure it a little bit more. So like Kickstart stuff I'll do. In the minute I'm thinking it'll be mainly like folklore related stuff. Rather than fantasy. I mean, it's still fantasy, isn't it? But specifically folklore. But yeah, I'd like to find a little bit more structure to the stuff I'm doing. Also, I need to make more videos. I started last summer, and each month I wanted to do a silly heresy video where I just ruin Heresy Space Marine. And I did 2 of them. And I just got so busy, I didn't do any more. And I would like to go back to that. But maybe like just in a general sense. So like I said, the Trench Crusade thing, I think I want to do that. I just haven't decided with the Trench Crusade thing if I want to sculpt them or if I want to just like use other people's stuff and just like kit bash it. Or maybe a mixture. Yeah, well, I get the impression you stay up quite late making sure you can get your videos done. So I guess that is that's the compromise, isn't it? Losing a lot of sleep. But yeah, every time I've edited a video, it's just like, I don't know, I've made videos for years on other things, on other channels and stuff. And each time you're like, it'll be quicker this time. And it never is. Oh, there is some weird symmetry going on. Let's turn it off. But I need to just like pick up the camera more and like worry less about the setup. Just press record and just start making something, which I think I will do for these Trench Crusade guys. Yeah, makes sense. It's handy if like, yeah, if that routine involves like just like the little logistical things, making sure things are charged, knowing you can just like pick something up and it's ready to go. Because once you, that's usually what affects me. Like when I'm in the middle of a flow, I pick up my camera and I'm like, oh, I didn't put it on charge. I'm gonna make a, I can't, is it, how am I pronouncing that? Is it burr? Just pronounce that burr. How to use the array modifier. Well, just do it. I did do, I did a, I posted them on Instagram. I did a couple reels, which were little quick tutorials. They're really easy to make. Just really simple things with 3D sculpting, little tips. Just do it. So is that like the medieval term for that kind of structure? The medieval term, you know what I mean? That music stopped. Yeah, I am the same in just all things really. I need my keeping the routine is how I stay efficient for sure. Which is why I do find videos difficult, because it's not a primary thing I do. I maybe like once a month I do them. That's when I kind of have to like get back into that mindset, and I feel really sluggish about it. Oh, it's the name of that specific devil. Heard that term before. It might have been from Final Fantasy, actually. Oh, thank you. Critical stage, great subjects, small channels. Yeah. It's just a cool thing to get excited about, isn't it? Just something. I know, like, there's some people. Get some people kind of hating on the popularity of something out of principle for some reason. It's like, well, if everyone's enjoying it, why are you hating on it? But I love seeing loads of people getting on board with it because it's just so creative as well. Even though I know they've got those like STLs, like official STLs for the warbands, I feel like I haven't seen anyone doing videos on those STLs. Everyone's just been making their own stuff, which is great. And because I just have an interest in Buddhism, I think it'd be really interesting to bring, like, imagine how a Buddhist faction would like address that situation and what it would look like in a fantastical way as well. Would also involve, what I'm thinking would involve a snow lion, which I've already made, but I might like remake it to be a bit darker looking in some way. Trench Crusade is not for you. That's fair enough. To be honest, I don't know anything about the game in terms of I know that like the lore, roughly. I don't know anything about how it plays as a game. I feel like at the minute though, for a lot of people, that's less important. Well, I think there's an understanding based on the writers that it is going to be good. I mean, that's a big part of it, isn't it? It's like who's writing it. But that's fair enough. It's not for you. I mean, it is very dark. It's not like with 40k, for example. Yeah, all you're looking at is John Blanche stuff and really dark chaos and Space Marine stuff. A Mechanicus maybe and whatever. You can kind of stay in that narrow, dark, gothic kind of view of the galaxy. But then you turn around and then there's like a orc army being all silly. You know, there's some different vibes there. But Trench Crusade is just full on dark. So yeah, if that's not for you, I get it. Yeah, definitely. Also, why like gatekeep other people's enjoyment of something? There's just no need. I feel like I started to see that a bit with Gundam. You know, everyone's just loving Gundam, and that's great. But then there are some people that have kind of hating on it as well, which I don't understand. Although personally, I'm not really a Gundam. It's not because I don't like mechs. I think mechs are cool. But it's because I don't really know the lore or the story, so I feel no connection. I did try watching the first Gundam film, but it wasn't. But I was in the middle of doing something else, so it wasn't dubbed. So I turned it off because I couldn't read subtitles for the whole thing. Oh yeah, for sure. I'm definitely at the minute. I'm going through a like Warhammer's cool. It is cool. But I'm going through a phase of trying to appreciate independent writers, games, creators in general. Not because I want people to boycott the big guys, but I think we need to be a bit more open to we need to let the smaller people have a chance. And yeah, so it's also partly me trying to get out of the hoarder mindset. So I've been selling a lot of old Warhammer that I'm just not going to do anything with. I'm still keeping goblins because goblins are cool, but what's the point of it all just sitting on the shelf? And I feel more enthusiastic about doing other people's stuff. Like Annie we did a model swap, so I have some of her stuff to paint. I did prime some cloth goblins, get around to painting those. But that's what I want to see. I want to see other people's random little cool minis. Yeah, for sure. I've been getting very influenced over the last 6 months, seeing people play loads of different skirmish games, because I feel like I have no time for anything. I've always loved seeing you go do your Mordheim stuff. I've still got loads of old White Dwarfs back when Mordheim was released. and I just love the aesthetic. I just never played it or made anything for it. I actually bought the PC game, but I've not played it yet. I quite like the Frostgrave kind of aesthetic as well. Are you still on TikTok, Dexter? Because just go on YouTube. It's better. If it's really bad, I'll just stop the TikTok stream. That out a bit actually. I tell you what, let's split these ears. I feel like if a rabbit was jumping back, I feel like it would tense its muscles on its ears. So I think it's okay that the ears are like pointing back. I kind of want them like that. I do love how some of these old games are still being like loved and cared for after all this time, kept alive. Another good example, if you like Halo, there's a really healthy Halo community on Facebook. There's a guy that I'm talking about, the Halo ground control game, I think. And it was like a 15 mil game that came out, I don't know, last decade at some point. And it's been kept alive on Facebook in this group. And there's a guy called Vincent something, and he just has been spent so much time sculpting all the models for the game, plus more from all the computer games, for free. So there's all these free Halo models that he's done from scratch, and I've never played the game. I don't know what it's like, but it's really nice to see like a community that's really like active and vibrant and keeping a dead game alive. Found a Warhammer Fantasy Wartime Club. Cool, man. Well, playing old Fantasy Battle. I was so happy when Old World came back. Like, so happy. Because, I mean, I'll be real. I've not played... I never played the old Fantasy Battles. I had a Britannia army, which I eBayed back in like 2015, I think. But I love the lore. I love everything about it. I love Total War, Warhammer, and it was. I felt, and because I grew up on that. Well, I grew up originally. I think the second edition 40k box was like my first Warhammer thing, and then I quickly found Fantasy Battles and got into when they did the Bretonnia and Lizardmen release. What was that? Was that fourth edition? Maybe it was fifth edition actually. And I loved it so much. So when they killed it, I was like, that was so sad. I didn't want to be like an Age of Sigmar hater, because Age of Sigmar is obviously really cool in its own way, especially with like just how creative it is. But when it first came on the scene, it was more like I was sad that we'd lost the old thing rather than me not liking the new thing. No, that's cool. Yeah, I never played it in the end. It's partly just down to my location, where I am and who I knew at the time and stuff, so I could just never play it. I remember when I was a kid, I'm like 38, so when I was in primary school and I got second edition 40k and I tried like learning the rules, no way. It was never going to happen. What army did you play? Is Nurgle too obvious? Is it Nurgle? Or the goblins? Orcs and goblins? I feel like it must be one of those two. I've not done the horns. I don't really want like big crazy antler. Yeah, antlers, not horns. Big crazy antlers. Maybe like some fairly youthful looking young, well, so youthful antlers. I mean like a spring antlers, I guess, small ones. That's fair enough. Skirmish is just like, especially when you get older, there's just no time. Like, unless, well, it depends. You know, if you're a very focused person and you have one hobby, and that one hobby is Warhammer, like one of the games, then yeah, maybe you do have time for it. But when you've got loads of other interests, it's just so difficult to fit it in. So yeah, I'm the same. Skirmish, even though it would be really cool to have like a fantasy battle army, old world army, like it would just look really cool. I just don't see me playing, especially when the game lasts, I don't know, how long do they last? You know, something like 4 hours maybe, I don't know, depends how well versed you are in the rules. But it lasts so long, and I just don't see myself doing that. So yeah, I'm the same, all about skirmish games. Yeah, wood elves are cool. And my brother, when he like briefly kind of got into it, when I was playing Bretonnia, he was like, wood elves. I do think though, when they release wood elves again, I'm probably gonna buy a forest dragon, because I used to have which dragon was it? Whatever dragon they had for Dogs of War. So what, I can't remember. Asanil, however you pronounce it. That elf dude on the dragon for Dogs of War. I had that one, which I did eBay in the end. But I think, yeah, I'll get a forest dragon just because for the nostalgia. It's just so sick. Oh, nice. So what edition are you playing? What's the popular edition? I don't know. Oh, did you mean Old World? You have to look at a deer. Oh no. See the relative position of an antler against an ear. You need smaller models. Is that like a little dig? Is that a dig at me? Because most of the things I've been making are like on a 100mm base. I can't stop making big things. But no. Smaller models in terms of like quantity of models, you mean? Is 6th edition like the kind of like widely acknowledged to be like the good one? I don't know. I see different opinions. Yeah, I love that era of Wood Elf, like where like what were they called? War dancers? Were there war dancers in Wood Elves? That would have like lots of bright greens and yellows and, well, paint them however you want, but like I love the official paint jobs for them. They look so cool. 2000s went a bit swirly, frolic-y. Was that when they started adding like the what am I trying to say? Wild Riders? They're the ones on stags and stuff. I can't remember. But yeah, I like to see Orion. Is it Orion? He's pretty cool. But that dragon is just like sick. Yeah, the Dryads are cool. I really like that tree, the tree man as well, the one that Trish did. Oh, I see what you mean. I mean, I think if I was doing like an old world army and it was goblins, I feel like I would probably still use some AOS ones for variety. I think you can easily get away with that though, and I don't know how much the scale. I do have some goblins, but no old world goblins, so I can't compare, but I assume the scale isn't too different for things like that. But for other armies, I can imagine it looking a bit odd. Well, why wouldn't a wood elf have studded tight pants? Obviously. Yeah, I don't know what wood elves will look like, especially now with the high elves coming out, and like the merworm. The merworm is like really cool. It's a really cool model, right? But I wasn't very familiar with it. The first time I saw it was when Trish posted it on Instagram at some point in the past. I know she's been posting about it again because it's been re-released. But when she posted about it before, I was like, this is sick. Why have I never seen this? And I guess because it's Forge World, and I've never really been that familiar with Forge World stuff. So when it came out, I wasn't expecting that. So I don't know what the Wood Elves will look like now. They're going to have that Forest Dragon. You can't not have that Forest Dragon. But I don't know if they'll do anything else, like, aesthetically with it. Do I do all my sculpts with Nomad? Yeah, I do. The first one I didn't. The very first thing I made, I actually did it all in Blender. So it sucked to make it. No offense to Blender, I just didn't have a tablet. Nomad's great though. Nomad is like, look, in reality, I cannot afford ZBrush. The amount of tools Nomad has for the price is like insane. And I love the fact I've paid for software and now I own it. Okay. Well, thanks for dropping in and chatting. I really appreciate it. And yeah, thanks for the kind words. No doubt you'll be posting a video soon before I'm streaming again. Yeah, Nomad is like, it's just so quick and easy to get up and running. Especially when you kind of limit your tools a bit anyway. I mean, it's like any software really. You turn on a new piece of software and you're like, where is anything? And then once you go through the motions a couple of times, you're like, it's actually really easy. I mean, there's loads of these tools I don't bother using. But who cares? So I was a bit surprised actually when the iPad version of ZBrush came out. And I thought the guys at ZBrush are well aware of Nomad existing. They're gonna be. So when it came out and it still has like a silly pricing structure, I was like, what? Why are you not being competitive? Whatever. I guess maybe their market is, you know, the air quote professional market. I think Nomad is perfectly good as professional software, personally. But, you know, when there's a status quo with a particular type of software, it's really hard to get out of that. It's like Adobe. I really want the Adobe, but well, I feel like Adobe's bubble might be breaking, but like there's so many other alternatives to like the Adobe suite of software that like why should we as an industry stick with it? You know, just because that's the way it is. Anyway, hopefully ZBrush will, to be fair, I should re-download it. I said this yesterday. I need to download it and play with it because I believe you can use it for free, you just can't export anything. So I want to give it a go. And I'm sure there's lots of things you can do in ZBrush that you can't do in Nomad. I'm just not aware of them, so you know I'm not missing anything right now. I think I kind of want little dainty antlers. Don't want like big. I don't know what the right term for it is. I'm sure there's some official ways to describe like the aging process of antlers before they're shedded. But essentially like like early antlers, whatever season that is. Spring, I don't know. I also don't want the print to be like too annoying to print. I mean, I've printed a little stag thing before. Well, I sculpted a little stag like chess piece, which had more elaborate antlers. Yeah, Blender sculpting is. Tell you what, the day Blend, I think they are working on it. But when Blender revamp their sculpting tools, it'll... I mean, I can't... I don't have a tablet for my PC anyway. I suppose I could buy... I think it's... Well, if there was software I could use to connect my iPad to my PC, if it was just one purchase, I would do it. But I think there's like a, I can't remember what it's called, but there's software people use that's like subscription based. I'm like, oh, I don't want subscriptions to things like that. So I would consider that if Blender update their sculpting tools, which I think they're working on. And yeah, that'd be crazy. If they just drop a totally revamped sculpting suite, which does everything Nomad does, everything ZBrush does, or whatever, that'd be sick. I mean, it's usable, isn't it? At the minute, like I said, my first mini, I sculpted entirely in Blender. And obviously Nomad's only good if you happen to already have the hardware to do it. Although it's more accessible since it's on Android as well. They're kind of just like on the inside of the ears.
Don't rush me.
So these might be too big. I could shift that ear around a bit.
These guys caught me in a mood.
I think I might want this simpler. At least like pull it back a bit.
Don't make this complicated. Don't stop fighting.
I think I might have this backwards a little bit. Oh no, I'm looking at different sets of antlers and they're all very unique actually, really. But here's one with an asymmetrical set. maybe.
I'll fight anybody. I'll fight.
A little one on the inside, maybe. Can I flip an instance? No. Oh, that's annoying. Why can't I flip an instance? I mean, I understand in some way, but at the same time, it's like, it'd be really useful if it wouldn't flip. Also, well, hang on, did I pick the wrong one? No, they are totally linked. Yeah.
5 for me, none for anyone else.
Alright, for now, just to gauge it.
Send 5 more. We can do this again.
Maybe something like that. Little dainty antlers. It's okay that I've lost the symmetry because it'll just look a bit more organic if I do like the
I'm
movements
leaving.
individually.
See you at the next apocalypse.
Maybe something like that. Yeah, I don't want crazy antlers. Still not sure about the anger in this bunny's face. I mean, it kind of like suits it because he's like mid-combat and, you know, he's a bit of a vampire, so kind of makes sense, but don't know. Whatever I just did then, it's just a little difference. Yeah, that's better. Do I want like flatten the top of his head a bit? I do have a habit of giving my models like really pronounced eyebrows. Maybe later, maybe I'll do that. I don't know. There might be some animals where it won't work. I want to have a bit of a cliff or something on top. Or not. I'm just doing this to look at the silhouette a bit. There's probably too much going on up there. If I make it too fluffy, maybe. I haven't actually totally decided what I should do is so I kind of like put two sentences together there. I haven't decided yet what scale this is at, what size base, so I should really import a base. Just have a look. I'm thinking I mean, it's not going to be the size of a bunny. We can call it a dire Wolpertinger. Yeah, that works. Dire Wolpertinger. So probably put it on a... I'm just visualizing it at the minute while I'm zooming out like this. Because this will determine, yeah, how detailed I go, obviously. If I put it on a 40 mil, then it's like half the size of a horse. But, you know, I don't want it to be like terrible to paint. I do like bigger. So maybe I'll just put it on a 40 mil base and yeah, just call it like a dire Wolpertinger. To be fair, in Moonstone there is a jackalope which is like massive, right? It's like a big monster. So I guess who cares? I think this is on like a 50 mil base, isn't it? The other Moonstone stuff I have, I think like 30, 32 mil. So yeah, their jackalope is like a huge creature. So now you want him to be a big guy. I didn't plan on him being like too big, but I think maybe I should. It's not going to be like rabbit size. It's not going to be like a tiny thing on like a 20mm base. But I also don't want it to be a huge monster. So I think 40mm and call him Dire. Yeah. Okay. That gives me an idea, like how detailed I'm going to go. What I also like to do, I like having lots of hair coming out of ears, so I probably will do that. Bit of a floof around here. I really like the most recent Apple Pencil because I can just hover and I can do things like that. It's really cool. Maybe. I also really like, I mean, nose-wise, I just like pronounce things. So whether it's like I have like is it the bridge or whatever? I just have it kind of like a consistent line. I really like doing that. Or kind of like have really like obvious dips like that. I kind of like extremes. For this though, I quite like that kind of angle I've got going on there. I wonder if I can make it more so. To be fair, like if you look at the shape of the skull, that's kind of what they're like. I don't want its nose to like come up a bit. Maybe. Okay. So what I tend to do is work to, you know, that kind of size of polygon at this stage. And I go up in steps. I don't tend to multi-res. I feel like, I mean, I don't need to multi-res. But I feel like I just lose an element of control. Maybe it's just because I'm less comfortable using it. There's an element of control I lose, and I don't like that. I kind of like, I have a system, and when you print things, I have an idea of like polygon-wise what I need to aim for. And because people are like softening up their models anyway with their settings, and they're smoothing it out, like I feel like you don't need to like have a crazy amount of geometry. I mean, I'm gonna get, obviously this is just like a current step, like I will go up in a polygon density. It's just me kind of finding structure. This is like a really annoying gap. So what I could do is just like Bring it down a bit. Don't want to be the same. I mean, it's not too bad at the same level. I kind of like difference. What if I go to the other extreme? I mean, that could work. It's just blocking a lot of the face now. I could it's kind of like he's getting ready to box as well. I don't know. I just like avoiding any like weird little gaps or whatever. Again, partially down to me getting into this casting mindset where whatever I'm making, assume it will get casted, even though it won't. I know it won't be, but if I take that approach, then it can just like just simplify the silhouette, make it easier to print. And there's a charm to that. I like having chunky models that have a very kind of condensed silhouette. Print easily without any like bits that can snap off. You know, the kind of monopose, the monopose vibe from like indie companies that are still making like metal miniatures and stuff. I like that. Sometimes I don't want to glue together like 12 bits to make a Space Marine, you know? Sometimes I just want one thing, one chunk. So that gets rid of the gap. It's debatable whether... You still get a good view of the face from this angle. It's not ruining the model by doing that. It's a look. But maybe I do want it lower. So what I could do is... if I bring up that joint, I don't know if like... see what I can get away with that geometry there. Maybe bring the paw down. Alright, well thanks for dropping in and keeping me company, I appreciate it. Just looking at the time, I'm probably going to stop soon. But yeah, I'm going to be doing this more often. Maybe putting myself on the spot and sculpting more, painting more on the stream. Even though I feel quite inefficient right now, but it's good to have some sort of focus. Yeah. Enjoy the rest of your evening. What did that look like before? We were there before. That's what we had before. It's not too different actually. But I think that print-wise is better. Although having this here will allow us to... It's just that... I don't know. Trying to think of when you print things, what annoys me the most. I don't like having lots of little supports everywhere that are really difficult to clean. And also painting wise, this gap's going to be annoying. Maybe the paw can drop right over. Maybe. That could work. This is going to get a lot floofier as well. And this chest actually, like, might floof out the chest quite a lot. Which is always like, when you're making something fluffy like this, sometimes you want to fill a little gap, you just make it extra fluffy. Or a bit extra fur in that gap. And sometimes you can kind of do things that aren't quite right technically, but you know, to the casual observer, they look fine. I think I need to go with something like that, just to increase that gap. Have the paw kind of like bent over. Okay, made a tiny bit of progress. Not loads. A little bit of progress. Maybe the head is too... The jaw comes down too low, maybe. Maybe not. I think what I need to do is take a step away. Oh, hello. Sorry. PJ Prints. Nomad Sculpt. What do I do with my sculpts? They're just for 3D printing. For tabletop games, D&D, whatever. Or if you want to paint them. I kind of just make whatever I like making. So they're not like proxies necessarily for anything. If you look at my on my website, it's the easiest thing, kinsfolkminiatures.com, which has a list of all the miniatures I've made. Although it's not up to date, it is missing a couple because I've not painted them myself yet. But they're just for whatever. I'm trying to like find my style, and then content-wise kind of figure out what I want to do, because I do literally just make whatever I feel like making. This particular model is for a charity collection, so I'll put it on. I might make it available somewhere afterwards. I don't know, it depends how long the charity thing will be available for. But this will just be added to that bundle, which is releasing near the end of the month, I think. How long have I been sculpting? Well, the first thing I sculpted to be printed was I feel like summer 2023, I think. It's the first time I've made something specifically for that. But I have been 3D sculpting for just general, well, more for like game, and they weren't full games and films, but with that approach. So, you know, doing like high poly stuff, then baking details and, you know, etc., that kind of approach. But then 2023 in the summer, I just did something specifically for printing. But I only started doing this properly last summer. That's when I kind of started putting my stuff out there for people. Put your stuff on cults. I've not got anything on cults yet. All my stuff's on my mini factory. Then I have a Patreon and tribes. This is all for, well, it's designed for resin printing. But I have seen there is someone, one of my followers, who does only have an FDM printer, and I've printed some things with it. They look alright, but it's not designed for that. Yeah, I've not really used cults, so I don't know if that's like a paid kind of service like my mini factory, or anyone can put anything on there. Do I think it's possible? Anything's possible. I don't know. At the minute, I'm spending all my time doing this because I'm in like a weird transitional stage since having to give up my last career. So I'm just giving it a go for a bit and seeing what happens. I think you put a lot of effort into it. Time, dedication, it can be. Like, I don't know where this is going for me. I'm just going to keep doing it. But, you know, I've made some good contacts and some good friends that have given me advice. And are helping me to, like, push forward with it. I think it's possible. You just need to... it's like anything, really. I don't even want to say be consistent, you know? It's not like being a content creator where you need to upload every day, you know, use your socials and stuff. Well, you do need to use your socials. I'm no expert, and I don't use them a lot. But, you know, this is why I've started streaming, because I'm just trying to up my game a bit with how I promote myself, whilst also doing some work at the same time. So many free files out there. Well, I think free is something, like, I made some free stuff. This thing I'm doing now is for charity. I'm not going to make any money off it, but it's good to do some free stuff. You know, the most popular things on my mini factory are free, and I think that gets some people into your other stuff. Also, well, there's a couple other things. So one, there are so many talented sculptors, and there's so many talented sculptors that do crazy detailed stuff. And you got to be honest with yourself. Can you do that? I can't. Do I want to? I also don't want to. Like, that's not my style. Also, you look at some of these crazy detailed things that look really sick. And I just imagine printing them and going, how the hell am I going to paint that? Like, it's just too much on it, and it's too small. So in terms of like what you can do technically, I think you need to, like any art, you find your style, you work to your strengths, and you do what you enjoy doing. That's the important thing. The other thing is being competitive from a pricing business point of view. If you got to look at what people are willing to pay and for what. Proxies, for example. If what you make is, and this is no shade on people that make proxies, if what you do is you make orc and goblin stuff that can be used in a particular game as an alternative, that is just distinct enough, that's fine. That's what you want to do. And there, people already have an idea of what they want to spend, right? Because they know what the equivalent cost is, so they already kind of have a budget in mind. So it's relative to that, but then it's also relative to just how other people price their stuff. And when you look at Patreons, for example, when you price up a Patreon, you look at some really popular creators and what they're charging. You kind of need to look at your output and go, how do I compare to that? But again, it depends on what you're making. Like if you're making something kind of unique and a bit of a niche, then I think with enough effort, you'll get picked up and people start to pay attention, which I guess is the approach I'm taking. And by no means am I making a living from this. I've made a little bit of money. I'm, however, making more money than I thought I would have. It's still nothing. Still, like, so far from anything sustainable. But it's a start, and it only happened because I've been kind of consistent. But sorry, my chat's moved. Another thing, in terms of like promoting yourself, from the start, I had this approach in terms of my presentation where I wasn't going to sell things with renders. I was going to paint everything and make sure I photographed everything. Because personally, when I go through a website and I'm looking at all these renders of things, you can't fully acknowledge what they're supposed to look like. I think having painted models, it's just nicer to look at, isn't it? I think it is more engaging. Especially on social media, like you're more likely to scroll past all these renders, especially when they're just like grey renders. So I think painting your stuff is just like a generally a good approach. So if you're not doing that, I would maybe consider doing that. My camera is a DSLR, which just happens to be my webcam at the minute. It's a very expensive webcam. Well, I don't have a webcam, and it works as one. And I have a capture card. To be fair, the capture card I'm using for this camera cost me like 30 quid. It's like a tiny one. I have an Elgato as well for other things, but this is like a really cheap capture card on a quite expensive camera. And decent lens as well. Well, 70 quid over 3 months is like, that's pretty good. I mean, I've not made significantly more than that at all. I feel like I only started doing this in June, and at the beginning, obviously, I was working from zero, like 0 followers on everything. Why would anyone? And my first model was like this very niche dragon. If you look down my account, it's one of the first things I would have posted. This blue dragon, which is like an old dude with a magic staff. Pretty niche. And so I started from that. And now I've made some more popular things, but most of what I've made is just what I feel like making. I feel like I've made maybe like 400 quid. I don't know. Not a lot. Not sustainable. But, you know, I've got plans to try and make it more sustainable. Okay, so you're just kind of like, you know, learning a new skill's fun anyway. And if you're just making a bit of money as a side thing, then yeah. Well, then if you're going to like be going for another job anyway, and you still have time to make stuff, and you're enjoying it, and as a bonus you're making a bit of money, then yeah, you should definitely keep doing it. Why not? I mean, even then, like if you know, if you like get to the point where you're ready to start looking for a new job, and then whatever that may be, assuming it gives you enough free time to keep doing this, if then that gives you the freedom to even like give more away for free or like reduce your costs or whatever, that might even work in your favor by making things cheaper. But you've got to do it because you love doing it. That's the important thing. Yeah, like don't get me wrong, the money I've earned is so much more than I thought I would have earned doing this, honestly. And there's the other wins I've had as well. I've been like the kind of connections that I've made in the industry, and like in the, if you want to say, influencer sphere. I don't like using that term, but you know what I mean when I say that. Those kind of connections I've made also have loads of value, and it's just because I've really committed to doing it. But I definitely have my days where I don't achieve a lot of procrastination. Like right now, I haven't touched the screen in like 10 minutes. I feel like I've not done a lot on this stream, but you know, I still am like focused. But yeah, don't get like get disheartened by it. Just like if you enjoy doing it, do it. But also don't like push yourself to the point where you're not enjoying it anymore. Don't like ruin it for yourself. My favorite model that I've done, I assume you're asking. Well, I guess the most recent one I painted, I quite like that. I'm really self-critical, so, and by the time I'm finishing something, I'm usually really, really bored. I'm ready to move on. So I kind of start to dislike what I'm making. But I think the last model I made, I really like it for the character, how characterful I've got the face, the colors. Even though the colors were kind of, I've painted it in kind of traditional colors that a snow lion has. It's also my current profile picture is the face of my most recent miniature. Where have I put it? I mean, if you look on my Instagram or look on, I think I posted it earlier today actually on TikTok. That gives you a better kind of view of it because I've done it in a light box. Kinsfolkminiatures.com. And it's got all my other links on there. And then like Instagram is where I'm most active, even though Instagram is terrible, like growth wise at the minute. It sucks. Yeah, over engineering your models is like, So I've done that, right? I've gone too crazy with detail, then you print it and you go, why did I do that detail? It's not needed. Because my printer's just like smushed it anyway. I'd rather have less detail, but more pronounced and exaggerated features. Something that's easier to paint because I've got really shaky hands anyway. So like a lot of my models have like really big eyes because I want to be able to paint them. So I like pronounced features, big eyes, sharp edges, and just because that's fun for me. Easier. Look, I'll be real. It's easier for me. It's more suited for what I like doing, but it is also easier for me. And I'm a slow painter anyway. I like to paint things that kind of feel easy. You know, I need that dopamine hit. There's definitely 1 month. Could I do a Patreon? The stuff I released in October, I think it was like a load of models. I went crazy, and I'm not doing it again. I did a silly amount of models that were all modular. These little like plant people. It was like Turnip 28, but like not grim, not grim dark. Really kind of silly looking, goofy plant people, and it was mostly modular, and it was just so. I remember like how much time it took me to like do the guns, like the muskets and stuff like that. And then when I printed them, I was like, why did I spend time doing all that detail? You know, like doing the flintlock parts of the rifle and stuff. And I'm just like, why did I spend all that time? I didn't need to. Because when I paint it, it's just like one stroke, a bit of silver or whatever, and it's done. Like, yeah, you need to put things in perspective a little bit when you're sculpting. And again, no shade on these guys that are like making crazy detailed things. Just go on My Mini Factory and you'll see some like absolutely crazy detailed sculpts. And I just think that's cool. That looks really sick. I don't want to paint it. I'm not going to paint that. Also, you've got to remember that some people, and I'm sure lots of Golden Demon painters would tell you this, sometimes you just want some flat edges, some flat, boring parts of your model, so then a skilled painter can go, right, I'm going to do a really cool fur effect there or whatever. Gives them a bit more freedom. And I've definitely seen some YouTube videos with some Golden Demon painters that have kind of like expressed their annoyance at overly detailed models, not giving them that freedom to show how good a painter they are. So sometimes you don't want, like, even a professional painter doesn't want crazy details. I admit this is obviously still early, work in progress, just still kind of figuring things out. What was I doing? My current thought was just this gap between the head and this hand, because it was further up, and that is just like, that's just an irritating space. I don't like that. So one thought was, do I have it actually quite far up? That could work. I don't think it ruins the silhouette. It kind of adds an extra bit to the dynamism of the pose. But then down there, kind of the gap's a bit like, it's a bit more acceptable. Again, it kind of works. I kind of bent the paw down a bit. If I go to the other extreme and I do like, so I love it when you can close a gap. So having this, well, I would close that gap there. Having that down there, I like it less. I think it's acceptable. I think I would probably go for, rather have it up here than down here, I think. And it is like, this pose is, so this I forgot what it's called now, Wolpertinger. Wolpertinger? Such a weird name. I have to remind myself. My music stopped. Okay. Wolpertinger, yeah. It it's like, so it's like kicking back. It's moving up and backwards. It's moving in that direction at the minute. It's kind of, it's like in the middle of a fight. When you look at rabbits fighting, they kind of, you know, they kick. So in a lot of these freeze frames, they're kind of like jumping up and backwards a bit. So that's the vibe I'm going for. And then the wings are kind of assisting with that. But I didn't want them down. I want them, because I don't like what that would do to like the composition of it and the silhouette if they were further down. I'm gonna like bend them a bit at the minute. At the minute they're just like early templates. But so I want them in this silhouette. So essentially this is where it's just kicked back. Its wings are still up, ready to kind of like, just before they kind of like motion down to then give it an extra boost. That's the silhouette I'm going for. I want the feathers. The feathers are curving under. Partially because I like the composition of it. The way kind of you follow down from the head, down the spine, to the tail, and then it curves all the way back round. This also will give the model more stability because it's going to connect with this foot. And then the feathers and this leg, this foot here, are going to be attached to a base. So it'll give it a bit more stability. You've got things supporting other things. So print-wise, it'll help out. And all the angles of everything else are kind of also partially designed to help with a successful print, which I did not consider early on when I was doing this. I just did whatever I felt like doing, whereas now I try to get into the mindset of everything I'm making is going to be, remember it's been being printed, but then on top of that I'm also thinking that things are going to be cast, even though it's not going, I know this model is not going to be cast, but I like to have that mindset because it changes how I design things. So I need to think of it from the start, and I think overall it helps me to get a better pose, a pose that will print better, still looks how I want it to look. It just makes me more like thoughtful about it, I think. Having said that, I'm self-critical, so when I finish I'll probably be annoyed at it in some way. But I think overall this general composition is good. I like it. But now my current debate is just that right paw. Am I going to bring it up to close that gap? That's the question. I think I need to step away and have a think about it. Because usually I take a step away, refresh, cleanse the palate of the mind, if you like, come back to it, and then I'll start to notice things, make other decisions, I think. So let's save that. Time is it? 10 to 5. Okay. Well, I don't know who's been liking on TikTok, but I appreciate the 3K likes. I'm aware the quality of the stream on TikTok is probably not great. My internet's terrible here. I've only started streaming the other week. Like, it's been, well, before then it was 3 years since I'd been streaming, and for some reason I'm streaming to like YouTube, Twitch and TikTok at the same time, which my internet does not enjoy, but I'm currently doing it anyway because I figured the loss of frames wouldn't be that bad. But yeah, so if it's quality's not that great, that's why. I think I'm going to call it there so I can get some food, cleanse the palate if you like as well. Come back to this, some changes later. But thank you, everyone that has dropped in. I appreciate it. I've not looked at Twitch in a while, but hello to whatever platform you're on. Thank you for tuning in and watching me very slowly sculpt this silly bunny, deer, pheasant thing. And this will be model for a charity collection, which I will, it's called Art for Friends. And the charity is the Trevor Project, I think. I will post something about that on my Instagram at some point. I think it'll be later on, the end of the month, when it's available for people. So if you go on Instagram, on Kinsfolk, I'm Kinsfolk Miniatures on everything, pretty much, where I'm on. So find me on Instagram, because I'm usually posting on there the most. But I'm on YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok, which will be obvious depending on what platform you're watching me on. But yeah, I'd appreciate any kind of follows, any support on any of those other platforms as well. That would be amazing. So thank you very much. And with that, I'm going to go and have some food. So yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. See you later.